Let it move out.
Oh, hey, and welcome to Black Conservative Podcast. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman, here in the city of Gotham. Now, I'm gonna jump right into this because tonight's show is called Coonery and Tomfoolery. All right, so last week, and we just had a little round table go or a little round table thing about the DNC that was here last week. And and I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna just be real. That's the thing about the show, is that that was total tomfoolery and coonery. Now, for those who are from the old school, they understand what the term coon and coonery means, and the rest and some of us that are part of the in crowd, or the updated portion of tomfoolery, we understand what that terminology means also. Okay, so here let's get right into it. Last week's DNC, or the Democratic National Convention, okay, um I couldn't watch it. Well, let me rephrase that. I watched some of it to get a few, to see what it was going to be like. What did they have to offer? What was different than what the DNC have to offer, or what was different opposed to the RNC? Okay, with the RNC, they stayed on point. Stayed on point. With the DNC, this was one gigantic coonery show, one gigantic rap concert, if you want to say, and I do mean a gigantic concert, a gigantic concert. This is what it looks like when black people go to a concert. That's exactly what it was. It's exactly what it looked like. Exactly what it looked like. So you had these clowns come out there, and I say clowns because when we talk about the coonery that the Democrats continue to operate and portray. Once again, people, now this is the part where where if we haven't woken up by now, we never will. And this is why we keep having these issues. Okay. Uh if you all really want some more content, look up this woman. She's on YouTube. She's brilliant, bright young lady, but she's catching a lot of flack and a lot of hell, and even to a point where they're trying to shut her down, censor. They've even banned her in certain platforms. And her name is Candace Owens. And I heard her speak last night. And a lot of things that she said, she was point on, because she went on to talk about the Democrats. The Democrats. And see, this is the problem. This is the slave mentality of the black community. Once again, the slave mind mentality, as Malcolm X even put it, the slave mind, of mentality. Okay. Einstein, and I quote him as saying, Einstein said, the true definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. And this is what we keep doing with the Democrats. We keep voting these jackasses in, and hence the term jackass, because that's their mascot, a jackass that you all keep following down the primrose lane with rose-colored glasses. Okay? When we keep looking at the situation in our own communities, this is created by the Democrats to keep us down, to keep us from rising up, to keeping us in our, so to speak, as the white man would say. And see, this is not even about white men. This is not about white America. This is a particular party. And even some of our own, some of these black politicians are part of that, part of this coonery to keep other blacks from rising. When we talk about, and see, people don't want to admit to this. Do you know that when Trump was president, when President Trump, those 4 years, do you know we did not have one, fact check this, look it up. We did not have one incident where there was a white officer that killed a black person, unarmed or armed or unarmed. We didn't have that. That didn't happen. Did not happen. When we look at the current state of where we're at now with these Democrats that are running the show, so to speak, and if you look at a lot of the social ills in a lot of these major cities, such as Detroit, California, such as Detroit, New York, Chicago, um, Los Angeles, San Francisco, if you look at a lot of Atlanta, if you look at all of those cities, those are cities that are run by Democrats. Run by Democrats. If you want to talk about a lot of the social ills in the black community, it's at the hands of the Democrats because that's their plan to keep you struggling from one end of the globe to the other. That's their plan. Their plan is to do smoke and mirrors, and that's exactly what the DNC concert was. Wasn't a conference. It was a concert. A concert. The funny part about this, what really made me laugh, is that Jesse Jackson Sr. was there, came out. Well, he came out and made an appearance, but he couldn't talk. But this is the same man, not 40 years ago, that was standing hand in hand, arm in arm with Donald Trump, and said, "This is the best." This man, quote unquote, this is the best man I know. This man, I know him. He's the best person that I know. This came out of his mouth. But then you can't really take too much from Jesse Jackson, because this is the same man that somehow or another mysteriously managed to escape Memphis when Martin Luther King was killed. Mysteriously. And I say that facetiously because it wasn't mysterious. Jesse Jackson was put on a plane. He was allowed to leave. How did this dude manage to make it back to Chicago the same day King was killed? How did he manage to make it back when no one else was able to leave the city? But I digress. Now let's get into this circus clown, Waltz, who is he was the Democratic governor in the state of Minnesota. Okay, this guy here. Okay, what can you really say? This is another part of tomfoolery, jackass scenario. This is what this is. They're putting these people out here to make black people feel better, and this is the problem with the Democrats. Remember, I say the same thing over and over and over. This is the same party that was keeping you in slavery. This was the party that fought against Lincoln. This was the same party who fought against the Union to keep slavery going. The Democrats. When are you all going to understand that the Democrats are not for you, never have been, and never will be? But because some of us have been culturally conditioned into believing that, and this goes far back as, say, maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe going back as far as 2 generations. 2 generations, because in all actuality, if you do your homework, black people were originally Republicans. We were Republicans all the way up until 57, 58, before we started listening to these Southern Baptist preachers and the up and coming Senator John F. Kennedy. Up until that point, remember now, the Democrats are the main catalyst of removing the black man from the home. They are the main catalyst of incarceration of our black men. They are the main catalyst of destroying the black home. They are the main they are catalysts for this. This is an idea to control. How do you destroy people? By controlling what they receive, how controlling their income, controlling their housing, controlling their education. Think about this for a minute. Why is it that we do not have any vocational programs in any of our any of our black schools? Why is that? No type of vocational programs. When I went to school, we had vocational programs. We had shop, we had auto mechanic, there was even points to where we had some form of domestication skills, such as used to be called home economics. We had these programs because what that did is that taught you how to be independent, how to be self-reliant, how to function on your own. Not only that, but it also gave you a gateway to having a not only a skill but a trade. If you knew carpentry, you could work your way of being a carpenter. If when you took auto mechanic, that was a gateway up to being a mechanic, possibly owning your own shop. But they took these programs out. Also, they took the vocational programs out of the prisons. They did that too. Here's once again, the Democrats are removing these social programs. Removing these programs. See, when you dig deeper into the Democratic Party and see what they're really all about, they are such a liberal organization to where they want everything their way and nothing for anybody else. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. When I first voted, when I was old enough to vote, and my parents, when I said okay, and they told me just arbitrarily, well, when you go into the polling place, you're gonna show them your ID, but when you get to the booth, you're just gonna vote straight Democrat. Now at that time you're young, you're not thinking about, well, why am I just doing that? Instead, what do I know about these people? How are these people going to help me? How are they beneficial to me? See, we didn't think about that at the time. And we can contribute that to being naive, but it was a slave mentality way of thinking and to saying we don't want to rock, so to speak, we don't want to rock the boat. How could it have been good? Remember, these are the same people who control the agricultural, meaning i.e your SNAP benefits. These are the ones that tell you how much you get, what you get, your medical. These are the same people that tell you how much you can get in SNAP if you qualify for any type of medical. These are the same people. But as I went in and listen, and at that time you listen to your parents and you don't question them. They say, well, you go in and you vote straight Democrat. Okay. Went in there and saw two boxes. One said Republican, one said Democrat, and I checked the box that said Democrat. Didn't think no more about it. The idea that this is the smoke and mirror part. You're so happy to be part of the process, you don't even think to ask questions. Why am I voting Democrat? Why? When I look at this, and here's the thing, and I think a lot of us are guilty of this too, because we were lulled to sleep by another jackass thinking that he was going to make a difference, how he's going to make a change. And I'm talking about circus boy Obama. And a lot of us were sucked into that because we all say, oh, hey, this is going to be the first black president. And some of us said we thought we never lived to see that, and so on and so forth. but this is an individual that had an agenda, and he brought this agenda, the agenda of everybody's a winner, even the losers. How is that even remotely possible? How can you put the two together? There's only two ways of a game. There's only two things about a game. There's a winner and there's a loser. His administration brought this type of mentality, this way of thinking. When they started handing out what they call participation trophies for the losing team, I thought that was the most asinine thing I could have ever seen. So you're going to congratulate the losers. Hmm. Well, here's the thing. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't even allow, when I was raising my children, we didn't do that. I didn't let them do that. And not only that, but my children would not accept losing as an option. And even to this day, my children, they do, losing is not an option. Not an option. Even with now, and what's really exciting, my grandchildren, they don't accept law. They do not accept loss. They're going to keep going and keep going. They do not accept losing. They don't want to hear grandpa coming over and says, "Oh, okay, you know what? Okay, Liberty, you're going to do better than she doesn't want to hear that. And I'm not going to foster that type of mentality. No, I'm going to tell you, you get out there and you keep trying until you achieve it. And the unfortunate part is that the previous generation, my generation, the previous generation, and the generation before that have created this, um, have fostered this type of ideology. This is why we're in the situation we're in the rut that we're in now with the current with the next generation, or I should say the fourth generation, where they accept everything and they don't question enough. When we look at these clowns at the DNC, when I looked at some of that, and I just really, that's really what it was, just a clown. And then once you get past the first jackass, and then you get to the main one, Harris, who is not, I'm telling you all, Harris is not who you all think she is. Now I know I know some question marks are popping up over people's heads who she is. Well, here's the thing. Harris has never, okay, they say, oh, well, she was the attorney general. She was the attorney general for the state of California. But what they're not telling you is that Harris incarcerated more black women than any attorney general in California or any state for that matter. Incarcerated more black men. Okay, incarcerated. She never tried a case. Never tried a case. Failed the bar exam twice. So help me understand, how is this person fit to run? Or how is she fit to run? She doesn't even have a policy. Sleepy Joe gave her one job and she couldn't even do that. She was supposed to be the border czar and she didn't do that. When you had she couldn't even, she hasn't even been to the border. Well, take that back. She went to the border and sat in a chair in a room. She's supposed to be the border czar. How can you be a czar of anything when you have when everything you've gotten has been given? The ladder that she has climbed up, and I do mean she's climbed up a few ladders, a few. Willie Brown, Montel Williams, that's just to name a few. Just to name a few. Now, this is not this. I mean, trust and believe. Fact check it. You will see the line, and she has a line of individuals. A line. Willie Brown was the one. Willie Brown, who was the mayor of San Francisco, um, was involved with Harris, and the fact that Willie Brown's wife divorced Harris after he found out that he was having an affair with her, but he put her on the path of politics. The point being is this: how can this individual who has no policies, just listening and reading the speech, I'm trying to understand, who someone else, she didn't write that. Somebody else did. They did that to lull black people to sleep, and particularly black women. Because understand something, black women, she's not black. She's not. On her BC or birth certificate, it lists her she's listed as an Indian child. And when she's filled out other documents, it's listed as what? Indian. Kamala Harris does not claim black heritage. And not only that, but her father does not claim black heritage because he's what? Her father is Jamaican and French. And the Jamaicans do not claim black. They claim Jamaican or French nationality. Her father, look this up. This is what her father said. Her father made a statement. This was a few years ago, and he said, "My people come from the rich side of the island," meaning Jamaica. He said his people. He said, "My people come from the rich side of the island." Now, here's the thing that most of you don't know. First of all, when he's referencing, there are two there with Jamaica being an island that it is. There's a certain certain portion of the island or community that truth untold that is rich. And his word, and also he went on to say we were part of exporting beans and sugar cane. So he had stock, he helped, he was a part of the production. So that validates when he said we came from the rich side of the island. We were part of importing, exporting beans and sugar cane. So you kind of have to ask yourself this question. Oh, by the way, just if you want to chime in and you got something to say or something to add to this discussion, please, by all means, give me a call here at the show. The phone lines are open. I neglected to say that at the top of the show, but they are open. Here, give me a call at the show here at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. We are talking about the DNC tomfoolery and coonery. So as to go as to part to her father, because a lot of questions have been asked that how come we don't hear from her father? How come we don't see her father? Do the math, people, because she's walking around saying that she's black and not claiming her nationality, her national heritage. Think about that for a moment. Her mother's Indian, father's Jamaican, and Jamaican French. So here's the thing. When he said what he said, well, my people come from the rich side of the island. Okay, when you say the rich side, now if you understand, the rich side of the island would be the southernmost part, which is Kingston. Okay, and when he said it, you kind of have to ask yourself, well, what does that say about his wife or the woman that he chose to be his wife? Because personally, if I said if I had said that about a wife of mine, that, well, my people, we come from money, we come from the rich side of the world, and what is that to say about the wife? So you're saying that she's poor. So you married some poor woman who had nothing. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, she's Indian, for crying out loud. I mean, you got to ask yourself, because she it's a little it's suspect. So it's almost to the point to where he kind of saw this poor person, this poor woman from India, and decided to give her a life. Okay, we know sometimes we know how that's go, but he made it clear that Mr. Harris makes it clear that he is not black. He has said that on numerous occasions. I am not black. I am Jamaican and French with French. And so we have to understand something too about Jamaica and the colony, because Jamaica stems from France and part of Spain, part of it, not a whole lot, but part of it, and some parts of and some countries of Africa. That doesn't necessarily make him black, and he's made it clear, I am Jamaican. He doesn't claim black heritage. He doesn't claim it because that's not who he is. So how in the world can you all be lulled to sleep by this charlatan who says that she's black? When Donald Trump had the conversation, when he had the when he met with the National Association of Black Journalists, and he gave it to him. He really stuck it to him, and I have to give him to that, because this was a part to, once again, these were people. This is white people bringing black women in to attack a man. And see, this is the crazy part of how the Democrats work. Donald Trump in return said, well, you all, you're black journalists. How come there are no black men journalists on your panel? He asked a very direct question. But you had 3 black women who were trying to attack him. And not only that, but he shut them down. Shut them down instantly. And then when he went on to the part where he says, well, at what point, and everybody's asked this question, at what point did Kamala Harris turn black? At what point? When did that happen? See, that's the mindset of the liberal Democrat, to where I want to be something today because I don't want to be it tomorrow. Or I was this yesterday, so now I want to be this. So help me understand something. If I decide that I want to retire and say, well, I want to be a senior citizen at 67. I'm 60. I want to be 67. I want all I can get. Can I walk into Social Security and tell them that's what I want because this is how I feel? They have to respect that, because you're expecting you give the same rights to the Alphabet to Alphabet City. So what's the difference? What is the difference? When we really delve into this and we look at the lunacy, I should say, the lunacy, tomfoolery, and coonery. This is a liberal. This is the liberal mindset that I want what I want, and there's nothing you can do to change that or stop it. I want this. You're gonna give it to me. Nobody has to give you jack and shit. And guess what? Jack left town. Now I will, and I will sit here, and I'm proud to say it, that yes, if anyone asks, or you're puzzled or confused and say, well, what party? Yes, I'm a Republican. And I'm proud to say it and happy to say it, because at points you have to wake up and see the reality of things. When you look at the factoid of the price, or when they talk about, oh, inflation is going down. In what world are you looking at? When you had the Fed chairman coming out and say, we're going to cut interest rates a half a point to help you with this inflation. And when those words came out of his mouth, so that makes Harris and Biden liars, because they say, oh, well, it's under control. But when the Fed chairman says something other, which lie you going to believe? When you have a gallon of milk that's $4.50, a gallon of milk, when you have a loaf of bread that's $4, when they're talking about the national average of gasoline, is $3.66. National average. $3.66. And they're telling you that the Democrats are telling you that there's no problem, there's no inflation. A good example of this, of Democratic policy. You take John Q. Public, where he's receiving medical and SNAP. Okay. So John Q. Public winds up making $100 more a month. So he gets a letter from his government aide to say, yes, Mr. Public, You will no longer be qualified to. You will no longer be able to. We're cutting. We are discontinuing your medical and your stamps because you have exceeded the allotted amount for the month, or you have exceeded the cap or the limit of what you can receive. So if he's making $2,000 a month, which is really no effing money to begin with, and so he's getting that to supplement, but then he makes 2,100, then they cut him off. See, that's a democratic mind, because I want to keep you in a perpetual state of poverty, a perpetual state that you need us. That's a democratic way of thinking. That's a democratic mind, keeping you in a perpetual state of need. Let's go back between 1823 up to 1865, when the Democrats fought to keep slavery going. Because why? The Democrats made enslaved blacks feel that they were needed. You need us. It wasn't the fact that the cotton needed to be picked and the sugar cane needed to be gathered, that horses needed to be shoed, and whatever other commodities that the South had. They made these unfortunate blacks, and some of that, the unfortunate, but then you had some of these house niggas that we still got running around today, like the Sharptons and the Jacksons and the Bill and the Ben Crumps of the worlds, the Obamas of the worlds, the Jesse Jackson Juniors of the worlds, to continue to feed you all this BS that you need us. I don't hear Republicans saying anybody needs them, or I don't hear Republicans saying that blacks need them. Here's another fun fact, and you need to check this out. And see, this is one of the things. This is one of the things that this young lady Candace Owens said last night, and a lot of people they're really waking up. And see, the media, because here's the other thing, because the media outlets, majority of your media outlets are controlled by the what? Controlled by the Jewish nations. So they control the narrative. Why do you think that the United States has not stepped in, has not really taken a heavy hand and intervening in the war between Palestine and Israel? Because the United States have an interest in Israel. Why am I going to get involved in somebody that we should get involved with that? We share in the same woman, so why am I going to intervene? United States and Israel, they're sharing the same woman. This is where critical thinking comes in. This is where common sense comes in. When we look at these particular things, and here's another, like I said, another fun fact. They're not telling people, this is information that is being suppressed. They're suppressing the fact that there are a lot of blacks. There are a number of blacks that have changed their parties from Democrat to Republicans, and they're not reporting that. They're not seeing that. That's why that's why this particular election is going to be a sleeper, and it's going to be something else. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The reason Obama, that clown, was there at the DNC, Obama was sent there to do one thing and one thing only: to influence young black men to vote Democrat, to influence these undecided black men, to influence. Nigga, you've done enough damage already. Go somewhere and sit down, collect your pension, get with the Secret Service, and do what you and Michael do. The Democrats are about influence. They're not about helping anyone. They're only there to help themselves. Another interesting thing, and this is when you're really finding out who your friends are. The game changer, and I believe This was a game changer. When Robert F. Kennedy Jr. decided to drop out of the race and endorse Trump. See, Robert Kennedy carried anywhere between 5 to 7% of a vote. Okay. And that 5 to 7% makes a huge difference. And not only that, but his supporters are migrating to Trump. Some of those people are going that way because they damn sure don't want Harris. Some people have already admitted that. Now here's the caveat to that. Robert F. Kennedy has fallen. Well, him and several other celebrities have fallen out because he not because he dropped out of the race, but he dropped out of the race and he supported Trump. There's an actor named William Baldwin. Him and Robert F. Kennedy they were friends up until that point. And William Baldwin has quote unquote disavowed JFK. I mean, who is this guy? I mean, disavow. Who is the guy from the IMF? This man had a right to decide what he was going to do and how he was going to do it. And not only that, but Trump and RFK had a closed door meeting. RFK came out of that meeting very encouraged because I guarantee you, he told him, we're going to win this thing and I got a spot for you. I know with two places that when Trump wins, I hear you what I'm saying. When I say when he wins, I got a good idea where RFK is going. He's going to put RFK. I'm not going to say just yet, but I got a good idea where he's going to go. A good idea. See, what they're banking on is they're banking on the Democrats are banking on the old guard, but they're not seeing this new wave of critical thinking young people who are seeing the BS behind the curtain. They can see it. Not only can they see it, but they can smell it. Not only they can see it, but they can smell it. Hey, welcome to Black Conservative Podcast. Who do I have on the phone and where you calling from?
It's Jay from Georgia.
All right. Long time no hear from. All right. You look, just get right into it because we already know how you get out. All right, let's go, Georgia. Get into it.
So we know that the convention was last week, and we know who they preemptively just anointed to be the Democratic nominee. There's a couple of things that are going on that the Negro is unaware of. You know, I can only call us what we genetically have been ascribed. I don't deal with the whole Black African American. We need to get past that.
We need to get past that.
We're not none of that.
Exactly. We're just let me throw this out right quick. I dropped that African American because I'm not African American. I'm American. Because I can't go to Africa and say I'm American African. I can't do that. I'm an American that lives. I'm an American. But go ahead.
So and even to deal with that little bullet point, that was a designation that was designed to change your lineage so you could no longer have any rebuttal or access to reparations. So we need to understand that. Our gatekeepers, which include Jesse Lewis Mole Jackson, Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters,
yes,
Elijah Cummings. See, so we have to first address the fact that we have amongst us some very powerful gatekeepers who have systematically held the status quo to ensure that somebody has these Black folks in line. Jim Cleburne out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a number of us that have been critical, or if not crucial, in their placement to keep us in line. So I'm going to go a little different. When and before Kamala Harris was actually the picked nominee, there was a covenant made with this group called the Divine Nine. Now, I don't know if many people understand what that is or who that is.
I heard of them.
But the Divine Nine is a league, because before this, they were just called the HBCU Black Greeks Organization, right? That's really what they are. So
exactly.
All of the prominent Greek organizations that come from HBCU colleges, which is an oxymoron, by the way, because anyway, we're not going to get on that. There's just not too much time. But here you are, a Negro claiming Greek lettering from shit that they stole from you. Okay, let's go with that. That's again goes back to what you were saying. This is the slave mind or deranged mind, whichever way you want to call it. Our functionality, especially politically, and I've said this before, I think that most Negroes have the intellectual capacity, and this is not just even in politics, but in a number of our statutes or conditionings, is not that far than a sixth grader. It really isn't. There was another young lady, her name is Sherazad Ali.
Yeah.
And she wrote a book about the Black man's guide to understanding the Black woman. And the reason why she wrote that book was and this book was written about 30 years ago at this point. And the premise of the book was to help us address some of our systemic issues of communication, of leadership, of bonding, and family structure. I did say this was a book that was written 30 years ago, right? I just want to make sure I threw that out there. The Black media and even some of our own leadership, with the exception of Dr. Farrakhan, who supported her, and a few others. Another one was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Claude Anderson. But we demonized her because she was telling us the truth. And I'm saying particularly our women. And she began to explain that, listen, the most powerful and successful weapon that white supremacy has is the Black woman. Now, I know a bunch of y'all is going to, lose your grits on this one. But that's what it is. It is a known conditioning fact that you never put a powerful Black man over other Black men. You subjugate him. And you keep him in a position of duress, so that everything that he does is done from a positioning of stress and reactivity.
And reactionary.
So what they would do is, and I'm going back to the conditioning, they would put a mammy over the slaves. Massa set out a mandate, but it was the mammy who went and made sure that those objectives were met and accomplished. And she would position people where she needed them to be to accomplish that, and so that she would not look bad. And if she did look bad, remember now, she has the weight of massa to put any and all insurrection or insubordination down without question.
It sounds like Harris.
Correctamundo. Because here's the thing.
Here we go.
Our adversary, and I'm not even just going to say white people, because this is beyond that.
Yes.
We're so conditioned and we're so brainwashed that we keep thinking that our enemy actually has one color. Malcolm X said this too. The Black man has no allies. He doesn't. In the world court, who comes to the aid of the Black man or the Negro? No one. If anything, other countries form legions and alliances against them. But where did they learn that? They learned that from who I call as America. And I always spell America with 3 Ks.
Right.
Okay? Here's another little interesting thing. You tapped on this a little bit earlier. Any black person that wants to say, I'm going to vote blue no matter who, not only are you immature, not only are you ignorant, but I would probably stretch to say that there's probably significant amount of brain damage that you have sustained some kind of way. Reason being, you cannot go or vote or support their agendas without understanding that this is the very devil that you seek to cast out. Well, how can you say that? Well, you know, JFK. No. Let's be clear. JFK or the Kennedy family, that group of people, because it wasn't just him, that group of people understood what needed to happen. And they were in the process of making those changes for formidable. But what happened? Hey, we can't have this happen. So they gave him a sunroof.
Right.
See, they didn't do that because it was Russia. No, wasn't Russia. They didn't do that because he just wasn't liked in the South. No, this man and his ideology had been forged from war. And he understood that unless we want to continue in a perpetual state of war and human catastrophe, we've got to do this in a different way. We've got to address this world and become more inclusive of how and who sits at the table. There's a book that I would suggest. If you don't believe me, the book says it. Several books. One book is called The Devil's Chessboard.
I've heard of it.
It literally talks about how Kennedy was trying to implement through the Democratic Party new policies and changes that were going to leapfrog equality. See, most people don't understand this. It's not that they don't know, they don't understand. Lyndon Johnson was a racist.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
He knew that.
Hold on, keeps going. One of Lyndon Johnson's good friends was another segregationist called Barry Goldwater. Another good friend of his, and I'm not going to say segregationist because he's from the North, was George Bush's old man, who was part of Standard Oil. Okay? So my point is, when they killed Kennedy, who was the Democrat, who we had made a covenant with because we understood that he understood where this country needed to go, all Lyndon Johnson did before the man's blood hit the ground was scrubbed his name off and put his name on top and called it his bill. Lyndon Johnson never wrote that bill, never wrote the Voters' Right Act,
never did.
Discriminatory Act. He did not. And if you look at the wording, that was not even meant for the average citizen. If you look at the preamble of that bill, it actually says this is to be applied immediately to enlisted men and women in our armed forces. So technically, it was never supposed to be applicable to us at this age because what they were trying to stop was the rampant discrimination that was happening in the military, so much to the point that we were stagnating in our own progress. Now, let's fast forward. Dealing with this Harris and Trump situation. Not sure if you got there yet, but I'm going to tell you this. Trump is going to win. I'm almost certain of it. It's going to be close, but they've already proven to you that this man is an enemy of all of those who seek to keep the old guard. He's an absolute enemy.
He's what they call an enemy of the state.
He's beyond that.
Well, that's
Martin Luther King was an enemy of the state.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just, and I say that, and I'm using that facetiously.
Oh, I get it. But the fact that you made, because let's be very clear. I want to make it very clear. The assassination attempt that was done on Trump was just that. If they wanted to kill him, they would have. But they understood killing him makes him a martyr. And not only does it make him a martyr, but anybody who took the seat after him would be a guaranteed win. Guaranteed. So what they did was, and this is another thing, because you got to understand how our government works. So what they did is, and you can look all of this stuff up on YouTube, is that they created a scare tactic, because ideally they figured if we get close to him, maybe he'll back down. So it was never meant to be an assassination. It was only meant to be a distraction and a warning. Because the other thing that most people do not understand is there were 3 shooters there that day. Their entire mission was to do 2 things: scare the crap out of him and eliminate whatever patsy they had in place, which was crooks.
Mm-hmm.
A 20-year-old transgender whatever who had somehow voted Republican in one election, and then all of a sudden he becomes so disgruntled, he's trying to take out the only guy in the Republican League. And not to mention that Crooks is seen walking with the guy Fink from Blackwater.
Yeah.
From Blackrock. This kid, they found explosives and all. This is a ploy, people.
Yeah. Right. Because I heard the same thing. They're like, wait a minute, they found all of this. And then there was other talk that the local police, Butler police, had offered, get this, I'm not sure if you heard this. I'm not sure if you heard this either, people, that the Butler police had offered to give the Secret Service radios that was linked to their frequency, to Butler police frequency, so they can hear cross traffic. The Secret Service.
No.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Let me finish this out. This is what, like I say, there's still stuff that they're still pulling out of the woodworks. The story was that they had offered them radios so they could all be linked all be linked up. Allegedly, the Secret Service or the AIC or they call the agent in charge refused that service. Now that's how that story is being spun. Go ahead.
Okay, so there is some misinformation in that, and I'm going to tell you why. I can only tell you this because, let's just say, I've been privy to certain levels of communication and how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first thing is Butler County had no jurisdiction, and this is what I mean by that. When the Secret Service comes in, they are different than the FBI.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So which means that when the Secret Service comes in and they're fully in and they're fully operational, they don't get anything from you. You get everything from them. It is an entire overlay of your infrastructure. So the fact that there were so many miscues and miscommunication and misinformation, that was not an oversight.
Oh no, not.
It was intentional. So let me break it down even further. So when you're dealing with a security detail of this level, The Secret Service goes in and tells everybody where and what radios and what frequencies you need to have your stuff to. They will even go as far as telling your dispatch, I need you to change your frequencies so that your radios are over here and ours will overlay over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need simultaneous communication.
Everybody has to be on the same page.
Everybody has to be on the same page, and everybody needs access to whatever. Okay. The fact that they did not utilize drones wasn't that they weren't available, and it wasn't an oversight.
Right.
This was a planned failure. This was literally a planned failure. Okay. Now, like I said, the Secret Service rolls in and takes over all command. All command. So the fact that you had an unidentified person within 200 yards of a principal means that protocol had already been broken.
Yep.
I'm telling you what, this ain't this. I'm telling you because I've all I can say is I'm privy to that. Okay? That's all I can say is I'm privy to that. The fact that the agents that jumped on him, two of the agents couldn't figure out how to put the gun back in the holster. Two of the agents were too short to properly provide cover for the principal. That is a controlled failure.
Mm.
The whole point is you never allow some sort of threat to get even close, either physically or otherwise, because you're surrounding them with bodies of armor. Okay, that's the other thing. So that's why I'm telling you, this was not something that just randomly happened. This was a planned failure. It was absolutely planned, and it was planned to scare the hell out of him and show us we can get to you if we need to. Okay? Last thing, when they said that this Crooks kid is the one, you have to go and literally listen to the audio. Several ballistic experts have already proven there's 3 guns there. One of the experts is actually saying that from the footage that they've interviewed or that they've reviewed, there was an actual sniper on the water tower. There was potentially another sniper right behind where Crooks was held up.
Yeah, that would be plausible. 30 seconds, caller.
Okay. Fact of the matter is, I'm going to say it like this. We got to get this thing in our head that this election is nothing more than a ploy. You better go Trump, because Kamala Harris is going to hang you out to dry. That's what she does.
That's what she does.
She is the ultimate bed wench. The ultimate bed wench. That's my minute.
All right. Hey, you know what? As usual, and as once again, when Georgia gets into it, we get going, and he has a lot of hot information, and this is what we need, and this is what, like he said, and I that's my opinion. This is now. Let's make it clear. That's my opinion as quote unquote a Trump supporter. It is not that of the station or other affiliates. Just be clear. Speak clear. Okay, or what they call the separation. That's my opinion, my show. So there we are. But with that being said, I see the lights flashing in the distance and the helicopter's about to land. So what does that mean? That means that's all the time that we have here on tonight's show, Black Conservative Podcast. Be mindful, be watchful, because this election is going to get good. Going to get good. And with that being said, not my monkey, not my circus. I got to get out of here because there's a crime being committed by Harris and Walton. I got to go stop it.
Ready to move out.